Hello everyone, my name is Kwa, and this is the IELTS Listening Prediction Test. You will hear a number of different recordings and answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, check your work, and remember, all recordings will be played once only. Good luck!
Now turn to Section 1 on page 2 of your question booklet. Section 1. You will hear a man phoning a shipping company to ask about its services. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6 on page 2. You will see that there is an example that has been done for you. On this occasion only, the conversation relating to this will be played first.
Hello, Move It Shipping.
Hi, I'd like a few more details about your services, please.
Certainly.
I've been on your website, looking into sending some things abroad when I go away to study next term. I see that you provide special empty boxes so that I can pack them myself and you then transport them.
That's right. We provide those free of charge.
The company provide boxes for packing, so boxes has been written in the space. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 6.
Hello, Move It Shipping.
Hi, I'd like a few more details about your services, please.
Certainly.
I've been on your website, looking into sending some things abroad when I go away to study next term. I see that you provide special empty boxes so that I can pack them myself and you then transport them.
That's right. We provide those free of charge.
And can I ask what goods you can transport? Like, do you take electrical goods?
Well, it depends. If you've got something like a computer, that's fine. But things like washing machines and fridges are too heavy and bulky for our service.
No, I wouldn't be taking that sort of stuff.
You can always check with us if there's anything you're not sure about including.
I was wondering about my bicycle. I suppose that'd be too bulky.
No, that's fine, though we wouldn't be able to take a motorbike.
Sure. Is there anything else you don't take?
Well, basically, the service is restricted to what one man can lift, so 40 kilograms is the maximum for each package. We do have a list of particular things we can't transport on our website, but I'll tell you the main points. So, in order to comply with security regulations, we don't take any sort of liquids, and we also don't accept any type of foods. And if you provide your own containers, rather than using ours, we only allow certain types.
So, can I use cardboard containers?
Yes, they're okay if they're strong enough, but we won't carry things that have been packed in plastic containers. They crack and break so easily that our policy is simply not to take them.
Okay, fine. And once I've packed everything, you can collect my things from my home and deliver them to wherever I live abroad. Is that right?
Yes, and we do have some special services. For example, we can make special arrangements to deliver on Saturdays if that's more convenient for you. Or if you're in a hurry, we have an express delivery option. There's a surcharge for these services, of course, but it's very reasonable.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. And what happens if the delivery can't be made for some reason? Like if I haven't finalised my accommodation? Can you keep my stuff for me for a few days?
Yes, we can arrange storage, though again there would be an extra charge for that.
Sure.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10 on page 2. Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
And can you give me an idea of your prices?
Of course. Roughly how much would you want transported?
Say, for example, I had 15 boxes, and I've also got a violin. That would need packing with special care, I think.
OK. And it would be collection in the UK?
Yes, and Sweden would be the destination.
OK. I'll do a quick calculation. Let me just get that up on the screen. 15 boxes and one special package. Let's see. It'd be something in the order of £575.
Right. And how would I pay that?
Well, you can pay by debit or credit card over the phone. Or, if you prefer to pay in cash, you can just give it to the driver when he arrives to collect your belongings, and he'll give you a receipt.
Fine.
And at the same time, you'll need to hand over some documentation. So you'll need a copy of your passport.
A photocopy?
That's right. So make sure you get that done in advance and have it ready with you. Then there are also some papers you'll need that we'll send you in advance so that you can get them completed in good time. The most important ones are the insurance documents, so you need to have filled in all the...
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 2 on page 3. Section 2. You will hear the director of a cooking school talking to a group of people about the different programs. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16 on page 3. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 16.
Welcome to the cooking school. I am Julie Brooks, head of programs. I'm here to give you information about the different tours and classes we offer, as well as to show you our cooking facilities here. Our tours and classes are very popular. The most popular cooking tour is in the early summer in Northern California, which is famous for its cheeses. This 4-day tour is special because each student receives one-on-one classes with the master chef. Then, you'll take part in visits to the great cheese producers of the region, and you'll taste cheeses and see how they are made. If you're looking to take a really adventurous vacation, take one of our cooking vacations in Italy and learn the passion of the Italian kitchen and have fun doing it. This cooking vacation takes place in a historic villa. There will be time to relax and enjoy the surroundings or to do some sightseeing in the area. On the second day, a bus excursion is organized, leaving after lunch with visits to a salami factory and an olive oil mill, returning to the villa in time for dinner. On the third day, you go to the market, then cook your own dinner with a range of local ingredients. One of the school's most popular tours is to the famous U.S. city of New Orleans. This is a 3-day tour where you will be staying in a hotel near the city's famous French Quarter. You'll have time to explore on your own before taking a unique city tour on foot led by a local chef. Every afternoon, there's a cooking class for the group at your hotel's professional kitchen. If you'd rather not spend the time to travel, We offer one-day cooking classes here at the school's state-of-the-art kitchen, taught by our very talented chefs. In the Budget Feast class, you will learn how to make great tasting meals that don't have to break your budget or require a lot of preparation time. For big families, this helps a lot. Many couples take our Cooking for Two class when their children go off to college. We teach how to make meals that are nutritious and elegant. They're even a bit romantic. In the class called Variations on a Theme, you learn to cook a variety of dishes using a specific ingredient in each. For example, in the next class, you will prepare meals using lemon. The lemon chicken meal is divine.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20 on page 4. Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20.
I'd like to give you a tour of our beautiful kitchen where the meals are made. Our one-day classes meet here. Just walk through the entrance. Right, now you can see the large preparation table in the middle of the main kitchen. This beautiful table is large enough for 12 students to work on. This room also has a state-of-the-art oven. It's large enough for up to 25 cakes. It's just past the preparation table on the left, near the entrance to the hallway. Perishable items are kept in this industrial-sized refrigerator next to the storage in the hallway. We keep non-perishable items in the storage. As you exit from the hallway, you'll come into the large demonstration kitchen. Here we hold smaller classes, but mainly it's used for cooking demonstrations and tasting events. The last thing I want to point out is our utensil cabinet. It sits right next to the exit. It contains a variety of cooking pots and pans and an amazing range of forks and spoons. Please feel free to stay around the school to check out our very...
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 3 on page 5. Section 3. You will hear 2 engineering students called Ray and Adele discussing an article they have read about making building bricks from waste materials. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26 on page 5. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Hi, Adele. What are you reading?
Oh, hi, Ray. It's one of the articles on the reading list. It's about bricks made from waste.
Is that the one about bitublocks?
Yes, that's right. Apparently, they're used as an alternative to concrete blocks. They combine waste ash and crushed glass with a substance called bitumen.
Yeah, I read it a couple of weeks ago. Really interesting. It's going to be really useful for our next assignment.
Yes, but I'm not doing that option. Actually, my tutor asked me to do a summary of the article for next week's seminar. I really enjoyed it and think I might even look into the topic for my dissertation. Before I read it, I'd been getting rather bored of all these green innovations in building, using all manner of waste materials.
Yeah.
But what's really new about this method is that they use bitumen to bind all the waste material and there's no need for a chemical reaction. It's not as simple as it sounds, of course, but it's a great idea.
Yeah, and the quality is pretty good. Of course, I knew that because of the way they're made. They're extremely stable, and the early tests indicate that they're as good as concrete blocks in terms of their weight. But I didn't expect them to do so well on water absorption tests.
Yeah.
And there were some interesting points about their manufacture, weren't there?
Yeah. They use materials from a variety of sources, some from local factories, some from further afield. And they haven't had to develop any new methods of manufacture.
Yeah, they essentially use existing ones, which is great because that means they won't require massive amounts of new investment.
Right. By the way, what do you think about the section in the article on the building of the new hospital?
It really helped me understand the broad issues in the UK. That so much more material is used by builders than by other industries, which means the construction industry has a big and growing responsibility to use green materials.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought the reason why they included the hospital in the article was to show that there are already quite high levels of recycling going on in the building industry. I think it said 17 to 18% by value. I know that sounds pretty poor, but it's a good foundation to start making improvements on, don't you think?
Maybe.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30 on page 6. Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
What did you think about the rival to bitu blocks? Veggie blocks.
Yeah, bricks made out of waste cooking oil. Interesting. But it did say they could be quite smelly, you know.
Okay, that's one of the drawbacks bitu blocks don't have. But the article said veggie blocks were very popular with certain architects.
I presume because of cost?
You'd think so, but actually veggie blocks come out at the same price and they take longer to make. The thing is, they look prettier.
No.
Bitu blocks are dark brown, which means they normally have to be covered with a lighter facing, whereas the veggie blocks come out as a pleasant light beige, so they don't need covering.
Oh.
So there are advantages and disadvantages with both types.
Yeah. So how do you think these innovations will change practices in the construction industry?
Well, I think bitu blocks have the potential to make a huge difference.
I have my doubts. Basically, builders are always going to be cautious.
Maybe. Architects are a different matter. They like to experiment with new ideas.
Yes, you're right. What about veggie blocks? Did architects cooperate in their trials?
There was a bit of interest there, but not significant. I get the impression veggie blocks won't catch on as well as bitu blocks.
I'm not sure. I think the key to commercial success will be things like tax breaks for any companies producing materials incorporating recycled materials.
Yes, that's true.
It'll be interesting to see what happens anyway. So what do you know?
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to Section 4 on page 7. Section 4. You will hear part of a student presentation about work on an archaeological site in southern Europe. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40 on pages 7 and 8. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
For my presentation, I'm going to talk to you about the archaeological dig I went on in the summer at the site of Trimera in southern Europe near the Mediterranean Sea. The site is backed by a range of mountains to the north, overlooking a green, fertile plain to the south. Let me first give you an idea of the history of the area and the growth of the city. The first evidence we have of human settlement in the Trimera area is of hunter-gatherers around 12,000 years ago. Later, about 5,000 years ago, farmers settled along the many rivers which cut across the plain, and later still, from about 2,500 years ago, the city of Trimera was established, and it soon became a regional center for trade. The city was first invaded by the Greeks around 300 BC, then the Romans in 100 BC. Under the Romans, it became very prosperous and traded in grain, olives, and pottery. Then, in 518 AD, an earthquake destroyed Trimera, and the city was abandoned. However, much of the city was covered with soil and rock by the earthquake, and so, luckily for us archaeologists, many of the ruins survived intact. The first report on the ruins dates back to around 1706, when a French explorer passed through the area. He thought that what he was seeing were the ruins of a castle. In the 19th century, a British archaeologist began to explore the site, and later, a Polish count made the first map of the area and recorded some of the inscriptions which were visible on the surface. However, it was not until 1982 that a Swedish archaeologist made a full survey of the ruins of Trimera. The first remains to be excavated were identified as those of the market. Archaeologists were trying to establish how trade was organized here and the type of goods which were commonly bought and sold. In and around this area, various examples of silver coins have come to light. During the Roman period, it appears that the city was completely reorganized. The public squares were paved, as were the main streets. There is also some proof to suggest that textile production was an important industry. The huge prosperity during this period was helped by the fact that the city was responsible for provisioning the Roman army in the eastern region. Now what I'd like to do is talk about some of the more important buildings in some detail. First of all, the Doric House. This Greek building is located to the east of the city, near the copper mines. This building is where the local population would come to get their water. The fact that the ruins were so well preserved has meant that the team of archaeologists excavating the site has been able to partially reconstruct the building. The remains of a theatre are to be found in the northwest of the city, adjacent to the river, where a magnificent bridge made of stone has recently been unearthed. In Roman times, the theatre appears to have been extended and may have been able to take up to 5,000 spectators. In the southwestern corner of the city are the remains of an elegant stairway. It dates back to about 37 AD. The stairway is decorated with sculptures of lions as opposed to bears found in other parts of the site. This is possibly because of trading links with Africa. Finally, the most recent discovery has been at the site of the Roman baths, in the central area of Trimera. Here, a huge statue of an emperor from the Roman period was excavated. It appears to have been carved in pieces and then taken to the site and put together. The statue is very finely detailed, and the recent discovery of marble toes and the hem of a dress suggests that a companion statue may also be buried in the bath's site. During the dig, I was responsible for many things.
That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.